Hello, this is Kevin Burke speaking from the Music Lab on the campus of Florida Tech. Today I want to go through some of the effects that can be entered into SunVox, particularly those that would be compatible with classic video games such as those found on the Nintendo Entertainment System. The first one I'd like to go through involves retrigger. If we look at the tracker interface here, we see that this pattern is set to 32 counts. Now we can expand the pattern just by right-clicking and pattern properties, and we can add the number of lines as we would like, and then speed up the tempo if we would like to have more divisions. But that's going to make your patterns quite a bit longer. Your piece involve a lot more different pattern modules to have to move around, and you'll have a lot of melodies and notes that are stretched out over a very long period of time. Another way to get some rapid effects is to use the retrigger. So right here in channel 3, which is the noise channel, I'm going to go ahead and mute this or solo this real quick so you can hear this hi-hat pattern. Now to do the retrigger, we'll look at the right-hand side of this particular column. You see that there's 4 dots here. The left 2 dots correspond to the module editor over here, and you can see numbers there for volume, type, panning, mode, and etc. So you can use that to turn on, adjust those different parameters. But the right 2 dots have to do with setting effects, which is what we're talking about today. Now if you have those effects memorized, you can simply enter in the numbers here, but just in case you don't, the easiest way to see them is to right click and select set effect, and we'll see all the different effects here. Slides, different kinds of portamento effects, vibrato, arpeggio, offsetting some time, delaying some attacks, or even cutting some notes short. What we're going to look at though is the retrigger, which you can see here is 1-9 using the hexadecimal system. So I can select that and it's automatically going to put it in there, but we don't have to go in there. We can, now that we know the number, we can simply turn on our editor and come in and then just type in 1-9 in these 2 lines here. Now I don't want to overdo this, so I'm just going to come through and pick a couple for a retrigger. So now if I play it, I've put in this effect. But we don't hear anything. It's actually silent, and that's because we have not assigned a value to this effect. Now the far right column, this space over here, allows you to input values to correspond with the effect and module effect windows. So since we have put in 1-9 in our effect, we then have this space here to put in our values for that effect. And let's listen to that. And let's go ahead and try another one in here. We'll put this one as a value of 1. We'll try this one a value of 5. And just to make a point, let's set this one at the value of 6. Actually, I'm going to come back and change this to 4, just so we can compare them. Now you can see a pretty big difference is occurring in this particular case. So I can just put all of these on a 6 and you won't even know the difference between having the retrigger there and not. I'll now set these to 0 and you won't hear anything either. And that's because the 0 and the 6, 0 is the first tick, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 6th tick lines up with the next line. So if we're going to retrigger, we need to make sure that it occurs between 1 and 5. So let's set this one here to 1 again. We'll set this one to 2, this one to 3, and this one to 5, and compare them. And what you can hear, especially from the 1 and the 5, is they are so close together with the original note, the retrigger, that it almost sounds like noise rather than an extra articulation. So that won't do. Let's now set these a little bit closer together. We'll go with 2, 3, 3, and 4. So we're now not using 1 or 5, which are too close to the outer articulations. And if you were to compare these, the best sounding ones are going to be the 3, because what that means is that the retrigger is occurring exactly halfway between this first hi-hat and this second one. So we've added an extra articulation. We've subdivided this particular rhythm by putting it halfway between this line and this line. So now I'm going to come in, I'm going to change all of these values to 3. And that's really the best sounding one that we have. So just to kind of summarize really quick, to do a retrigger with a note, you'll want to use the right-hand side of the effect column here. So these right 2 dots. 1, 9 is the number, the value that you select for a retrigger. If you don't remember that, you can just simply come into Set Effect and find 1, 9 is retrigger. But you have to, in addition to selecting that effect, you also have to assign a value for that effect to use. As I mentioned before, each line in this pattern is represented by 6 ticks, so 6 spots between each subsequent line. 0 being the articulation of this first note, and by the time you get to 6, you've started the next one. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inclusively occupy this space. So when we set the retrigger at 3, what we're telling SunVox to do is to re-articulate this note on 3, on tick 3, while this line is still going on. So it's triggering on 0 and on 3, which is a perfect even subdivision.